Hello everybody, this is Mr. Longo, and in this video we are going to cover inverse trigonometry. Now inverse trigonometry is kind of like solving for x when we're solving equations. What we're doing is we're solving or finding the angle measurement that creates a certain trig ratio, okay? But before we get to that, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about using your calculator to evaluate, and also, in an indirect way, give you a really good quiz and test strategy. So let's talk about that first. We know that in trigonometry, in this class, we're going to work with two different modes. We're going to work with degrees, and we're going to work with radians. So for the first 6 questions, if you were to take them in order on a quiz or a test, you would have to switch from degrees in number 1 to radians in number 2, back to degrees in number 3, back to radians for number 4, and then switch back to degrees for 5 and 6. You would be switching the mode of your calculator 5 times if you include checking the first one. So why would you want to switch from question to question? A very good quiz and test taking strategy would be to put your calculator in a mode of your choice. Mine's already in degrees, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the degree questions for this section first. And then I'm going to switch over to radians to answer the radian questions. It's just a little test taking strategy that might save you a little bit of time and quite possibly frustration if you forget to switch from, say, example 4 to 5. So since I'm in degrees, what I need to do is make sure that I can type these into my calculator correctly. Now 1 through 3 are extremely simple to type in. 4 through 6, there's a little twist you need to make sure you know how to do. So for the sine of 327 degrees, all you have to do is type sine of 327 and close your parentheses, click enter, and you get negative 0.5446. And the reason you get that is because I said round to the nearest 10,000th. One of the things that has always cracked me up is when students do not know how many decimal places to go. Well, if you know how to write the number 10,000, all you have to do is count the zeros. That's how many decimal places that means. So 10,000th, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, so give me 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Yes, it really has always been that simple. The second one is radians, so I'm going to skip it. I'm going to go to cosine of negative 631. So we just type cosine of negative 631, and we're going to click enter, and we get 0.0175. So that's it, 0.0175. So sine, cosine, and tangent are really that simple. The issue is when we get to the reciprocal functions. You just have to remember one thing. When you're given the angle, cosecant of this is equal to 1 over the sine of that angle measurement. Okay, because remember, cosecant is just a reciprocal. So since there's no cosecant button and all we have are sine, cosine, and tangent, when you're doing a reciprocal trig function, all you have to do is 1 divided by, and just type the sine of 738. Close your parentheses, click enter, and we're going to get 3.2361. Now that should make sense in the fact that it's over 1 because it's a reciprocal. Remember, sine and cosine values are always going to be less than 1, unless of course we are on the unit circle and it happens to be when we are on one of the axes. But you know, everything else, if you take 1 divided by a decimal, it's going to give you a number bigger than 1. Okay? So for number 6, you would just have to type 1 divided by the tangent of 738. And we would have our answer to that. So 1 divided by the tangent of 738. And we're going to get 3.0777. Okay? So make sure you understand how to type these in the calculator and when to do 1 divided by. Now, I'm done with the 4-degree questions. So at this moment in time, I'm going to click the mode button, switch back to radians, and do the rest of them. So for number 2, we're just going to type exactly what it is because it's straight tangent. So tangent of 5, the pi button you should know is at second, and this little up caret, divided by 4, close your parentheses, click enter, and we should get 1. Real simple. Now, the last one, of course, you have to do 1 divided by the cosine of 3 pi over 7. You type it in exactly how we did the last one, and you are going to end up with 4.4940. You don't need to watch me type that in one more time. Okay, now that was not inverse trig. That was just time teaching you a little bit of a skill. Also, to make sure you know how to evaluate. Now, inverse trig, like I said, it's like working backwards or solving for x. We're going to find theta to the nearest minute. So make sure you go back and switch your mode to degrees. Okay, now I'm only going to show you 2 of these, and then you can pause the video and try the other 2. We'll do the same thing for radians, and then we'll be done. So when we're working backwards, when we're solving for x, if we have 2x is equal to 8, we divide both sides by 2 because that's an inverse operation. 2 times x, how do you get rid of the 2? You divide by 2 because multiplication and division are inverses of one another. So what we are actually doing here is we are taking the inverse sign, which is sine to the -1 notation, of the sine of theta, that's equal to the sine inverse of 0.5723. And what is happening here is sine -1 is going to cancel your sine, leaving you with just theta is equal to the inverse sine of 0.5723. So we're just going to press second sine. So as you see right here, sine -1 is the second option. So second sine, and then we just type in our 0.5723, close our parentheses, click enter, and we get 34.91, but the calculator told, or the directions told us to round to the nearest minute. Remember to do that. It's second, and then the apps button has the angle as its second option. Number 4 is DMS, which means change it to degrees, minutes, and seconds, and click enter. Remember, anything over 30 seconds rounds a minute up, so this is 34 degrees and 55 minutes. So we have 34 degrees and 55 minutes. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to show you one more with the calculator, and this is because it is one of our reciprocal functions. So we know that cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So if we were to take the reciprocal of each, it would look like this. 1 over the cosecant of theta is equal to 1 over 1.9632. But 1 over cosecant we know is the sine of theta is equal to 1 divided by 1.9632. So when we type this in the calculator, the 1 divided by goes with the given ratio. So we would press second sine of 1 divided by 1.9632, close our parentheses, click enter. Then we would press second angle, number 4, enter, and we would simplify to 30 degrees and 37 minutes. Okay, so theta is equal to 30 degrees and 37 minutes. So at this time, I would like you to pause the video and try number 3 and 4 and see if you know how to press the buttons correctly. Give it a shot. Click play when you're ready. Okay, so for number 3, if you typed it in correctly, you would have just typed in second tangent of 4.8762, and you would end up with theta is equal to 78 degrees and 27 minutes. For number 4, you would have pressed second cosine of 1 divided by 2.3456, giving you a theta value of 64 degrees and 46 minutes. Okay, so that's this section in degrees. Now we're going to go play with radians. So we want to make sure we press our mode button, go back to radians, and we're going to do the rest of this. Now this is a little bit more calculator intense in terms of pushing buttons. But it's going to give us the answer without having to have the unit circle memorized. So if you go back to the unit circle, you should remember that cosine is x, and the x value of pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 2. So you can actually just think about it in terms of the unit circle and do many of these in your head. But if we have a graphing calculator that'll do it for us, let's do it. So again, we're working backwards. So we're going to have to press the same button for second cosine, because we want to use inverse cosine, and we just type in the square root of 3, enter out of here, and divide that by 2. Close your parentheses, click enter. Now, before you write that down, that's not what we want. We want radians. That's a decimal value of radians. So here's the thing, what is a radian? It's pi divided, it's usually a fraction with pi. So, but the pi goes on top. So if we want to make the pi disappear, we would just divide this by pi. So we're just going to divide by second up, and it's going to give us a decimal. And then our calculator knows how to change that to a fraction. We just press the math button, and then it's number 1, which we just click enter, and click enter one more time, and it's going to give us 1/6. So we know that that's pi over 6. We just used our calculator to take a decimal value, divide the decimal value of pi out of it, change it to a fraction, and we're good. Okay? Now number 2, I will do with you step by step again. Remember, this is a reciprocal. So this is actually saying that sine of theta is equal to 1 over 2, which, if you think about it, is going to be at the same location. Pi over 6 is what we should get if we type this in the calculator, because 1/2 is the y value at pi over 6 on the unit circle. But let's go through the calculator motions. So we have second sine. So we're at inverse sine of 1/2, so we have 1 divided by 2, close our parentheses, click enter. Now that is our pi over 6 value with the pi value in. So we want to divide by second up the pi symbol, click enter, and then click math, enter, enter to change it to a fraction. And again, as I thought, we would get pi over 6. Okay, so theta is equal to pi over 6. Last 2 are for you, and then we are done with this video. So pause it, give it a shot, click play when you're ready. So for number 3, you should have clicked second tangent of a -1. You'd get a decimal. You would divide by pi, get another decimal. It should have been a -0.25. And then change it to a fraction. You should have had negative pi over 4 for number 3. For number 4, you would have typed second cosine of 1 divided by a negative square root of 2. You would get a big crazy decimal. Divide it by pi. You should have had 0.75. Change that to a fraction, and you should have 3/4, which means we have 3 pi over 4. Okay? So those are the different ways we use our calculator in this unit. Remember, inverse trig is only when we're going back to find theta. Evaluating is when we already have theta. also known as our angle measurement, and we plug that in to just find what the ratio would be. Okay, so we did a whole bunch of different type of quiz and test taking skills, calculator skills, rounding skills in this video. We kind of did a whole bunch, but that's it. So anyway, this is Longo and I'm out. See you, bye.